Hello everyone, Victoria Sarvati here to continue our series on Sabbath with Candid Treasures. What I wanted to say today was how do we know when the disciples actually met? Churches today meet on Sunday morning, and you wonder, where does that tradition come from? Because whenever we look at scriptures, especially when we go into the Hebrew aspect of it, they met on what is called Motzei Shabbat. Motzei Shabbat means after the Sabbath. But after the Sabbath would mean after the sun goes down on Saturday, when the Sabbath is over, they would come together and have what they call a Havdalah service, which is the service after the Sabbath. Because they kept the Sabbath holy and honored it, they would go to the temple. That's what Yeshua did. That's what Paul did. And all the disciples did as well. But as soon as that day was over, they met together for fellowship and for prayer and for study. And so they would meet on Motzei Shabbat after the Sabbath. And it was when the sun was going down and it was time to eat dinner, and they were relaxing and having a good time before the day started the next day, on the first day of the week, Sunday, which was a work day. To this day in Israel, Sunday is still a work day. It's not a weekend, if you will, as we have it here in the West. So it was a day that they would begin to get ready for work the next evening or the next day. Which really makes sense whenever we see Paul was there one evening and he spoke well after midnight into the night, and there was a young man sitting on the windowsill, and we know the story how he got tired because it was so late and he fell out and died. And Paul went down and, of course, revived him with prayer, and the man was able to live because of the faith of Paul and his prayer. But the reality of it is that the people would get ready for work the next day. And we kind of think, well, because Yeshua rose on the first day, we should honor that first day, Sunday, and give him glory, which is a great thing to do, especially in our culture, which is different than other cultures, and we're able to do that. I think the church allowed for that so that it became a holiday, and it was, of course, the day of the sun, way back before the nations knew about Yeshua and the God of Israel. So it was already ascribed to be a day for the day of Ra. So I can see how the nations adopted or adapted the worship of Yeshua, or worship of his ascension and his being raised from the dead on a Sunday. But as far as we know from the scripture, we can tell that the disciples actually met on Motzei Shabbat. It was after the Sabbath when the sun went down. And that's a good time, I think, for us also to continue in that tradition. But by all means, continue to worship the Lord any day of the week, and Sunday is just as good. God bless and shalom.